Hold up! Did Brad Garlinghouse just drop the biggest crypto bombshell of 2025? Because what I'm about to tell you is going to absolutely blow your mind, and might just explain why smart money has been quietly accumulating XRP while everyone else was sleeping on it.
It does work with a number of central banks around the world. We've publicly announced some of them. And we're in the phase of kind of testing, experimenting, and they're issuing their central bank issued digital currencies on the XRP ledger.
The CEO of Ripple just confirmed that multiple central banks, not one, not two, but multiple central banks are actively using the XRP ledger to issue their central bank digital currencies. This isn't some partnership announcement or pilot program nonsense. This is live, this is happening, and this is exactly what separates the real utility tokens from the hype coins. But here's the kicker, and this is where it gets absolutely insane. Some of these partnerships are still under wraps. What do you think that means? Drop your theories in the comments right now, because your crypto fam needs to hear this breakdown. Alright, crypto fam, let's dive deep into this absolute game changer, because what we're witnessing here is nothing short of a financial revolution, and XRP is sitting right at the center of it. So Edward Farina from Alpha Lions Academy dropped this intel bomb, referencing Brad Garlinghouse's recent comments about Ripple's expanding partnerships with central banks. Now, when the CEO of a company that's been fighting the SEC for years comes out and makes statements this bold, you better believe it's backed by some serious firepower. Here's what Garlinghouse revealed. And I want you to really understand the magnitude of this. Central banks are issuing CBDCs directly on the XRP ledger. Not testing it, not considering it, but actively using it. This is the infrastructure that governments are choosing to build the future of money on. But let's talk about what this really means, because this is where most people completely miss the point. When central banks choose your technology as the foundation for their digital currencies, they're essentially saying, this is what we trust to handle our nation's monetary system. Think about that for a second. These aren't some random DeFi protocols or meme coins. These are the institutions that control the money supply of entire countries. Now here's where it gets really interesting. And this is probably why XRP has been showing such resilience at that $2 support level. Garlinghouse was very specific about something crucial. He emphasized that it's the XRP ledger being used as infrastructure, but he didn't explicitly confirm whether the XRP token itself is being utilized in these CBDC implementations. And honestly, that's exactly what you'd expect from someone who's been through regulatory hell. But here's my take on this, and I'm going to be completely honest with you because that's what this channel is about. You don't build a highway without planning to use the cars that drive on it. The XRP ledger is the XRP ecosystem. The token is the native currency that powers the network, handles transaction fees, and provides the liquidity that makes the whole system work. So while Garlinghouse might be playing it safe legally, the writing is on the wall for anyone who understands how blockchain infrastructure actually works. But let's address the elephant in the room, because I know some of you are thinking it. The crypto community had mixed reactions to this news, and I want to break down both sides, because understanding the full picture is what separates successful investors from the noise traders. On one side, you have people celebrating this as proof that XRP is moving beyond speculation into real-world utility. And they're absolutely right. When central banks adopt your technology, that's not hype, that's validation from the highest levels of financial authority. On the other side, you have skeptics arguing that Ripple's enterprise success doesn't necessarily translate to XRP token value. They're saying Ripple could profit from infrastructure deals while retail XRP holders see no benefit. Here's my honest opinion on this debate, and this is where years of watching this space gives you perspective. Both sides are missing the bigger picture. This isn't just about immediate token utility. This is about positioning XRP as the infrastructure token for the next generation of digital finance. Think about it like this. When the internet was being built, companies that provided the foundational infrastructure became some of the most valuable companies in the world. We're watching the same thing happen with digital money infrastructure, and XRP is positioning itself as the backbone. Now let's talk about what the charts are telling us, because this is where technical analysis meets fundamental analysis in the most beautiful way. XRP is currently consolidating around that crucial $2 level, and despite all the noise, despite the profit-taking from early holders, despite the uncertainty, that support is holding like a rock. The on-chain data is telling us a story that most people are completely ignoring. Over 80% of XRP's circulating supply is still in profit, even after that dip to $1.61. You know what that means? It means the vast majority of holders got in during the November accumulation phase and are sitting on massive unrealized gains. But here's the kicker. And this is where it gets really interesting from a market psychology perspective. Glassnode data shows profit-taking peaked at almost $69 million per day in early June. That's early holders cashing out some of their 300% gains. Yet the price structure hasn't broken down. XRP has tested that $2 level 4 times since May, and every single time buyers stepped in. We're looking at a textbook symmetrical triangle formation with higher lows from April and lower highs from May. The Bollinger Bands are tightening, volatility is drying up, and anyone who's traded markets knows what that usually means. A big move is coming, but here's what makes this consolidation even more bullish. And this is something most analysts are completely missing: the leverage positioning is showing controlled risk. Open interest has stayed relatively flat in that 3 to 5 billion range, nowhere near the overheated levels we saw in November. That's actually incredibly bullish because it means this consolidation isn't driven by speculative leverage. It's steady accumulation by smart money who understand what's really happening here. And speaking of what's really happening, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, because this CBDC news isn't happening in a vacuum. Ripple has been systematically building relationships with financial institutions around the world for years. They've been playing the long game while everyone else was focused on quick flips and moon missions. The fact that multiple central banks are now using their technology, and remember, some of these partnerships are still confidential, suggests we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. What happens when these confidential partnerships get announced? What happens when the regulatory clarity finally comes through? What happens when the market realizes that XRP isn't just another altcoin, but the infrastructure token for the global financial system? I'm going to make a prediction here, and you can bookmark this video and come back to it in 6 months. The current consolidation around $2 isn't distribution, it's accumulation. The smart money is loading up while retail is getting shaken out by the uncertainty. And here's why I'm so confident about this. The fundamentals have never been stronger. You have central bank adoption, you have regulatory clarity coming, you have a proven technology that's been battle-tested for years, and you have a market structure that's showing all the signs of a major breakout setup. But let me be clear about something, because I want to keep it real with you. This isn't financial advice, and I'm not telling you to mortgage your house and go all in on XRP. What I'm telling you is to pay attention to what's actually happening versus what the noise is saying. The noise is focused on short-term price action and whether XRP can break $3 next week. The signal is showing us that central banks are choosing XRP ledger technology to build the future of money. One of these things matters for the next decade, and one of these things matters for the next week. So here's my takeaway from all of this, and I want you to really think about this, because this could be one of those moments we look back on as a turning point. We're witnessing the early stages of a fundamental shift in how money works. Central banks are moving toward digital currencies, and they're choosing the XRP ledger as their foundation. This isn't speculation anymore, it's confirmed reality from the CEO himself. The technical analysis is showing us a market that's consolidating after a massive run-up, with smart money accumulating while weak hands get shaken out. The on-chain metrics are showing controlled profit-taking without breakdown in market structure. And most importantly, the fundamental thesis for XRP as infrastructure for digital finance is playing out exactly as long-term holders believed it would. If you found value in this breakdown, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because we're living through the most exciting time in crypto history, and I want to make sure you don't miss any of these game-changing developments. Stay bullish, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.